Welcome to Conversations for the Animals. I am Lisa Tynan from Houston PetSet, and I am joined today by my colleague, Miss Kelli Betner, who is our Director of Development, our relatively new Director of Development, but you have not taken long to jump right in and make a splash, I think it's safe to say. And I like having, first of all, I like having my colleagues on because we can always, talk about what's going on at Houston PetSet, but I think I'm excited to talk about how people can get involved with not just Houston PetSet, but with animal welfare in general, who aren't necessarily the go out on the street and catch a dog or catch a cat kind of animal lover, right, but they still want to make an impact. And, fundraising is such a huge part of animal welfare nonprofit. I mean, obviously, that's the only way that we can survive. Right. But there's more than just pulling out your checkbook. Mm-hmm. There's more than just, setting your monthly credit card donation and forgetting about it. There are actually ways that people can really make an impact and get involved and find community with animal lovers.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited to talk about all the different things that Houston PetSet is doing this year. But first, I think you should tell everybody your background because it is so interesting and so one of the things I love about animal welfare is how people get here. Yeah. Because it's very, very rarely someone like me who's like, I'm just going to work with animals. And that's what I went to school for and that's what I did. But most people come in from various directions and find themselves here and then fall in love with it. So where did you come from, Kelli? How did you get here?
Well, thanks for having me on today. I'm excited to be here. I've been here, I guess, 4 months now. Yes. Feels like a much longer.
A lifetime.
But here we are. So I kind of come from the private sector, kind of been a little all over the place for the last 10 years. My husband and I actually were in the military. So we were on active duty military in the Army from 2008, 2012, did 8 years in the Army in active duty. After we got out of the military, we were kind of all over Baylor, New York, law school for him. And then we finally settled down here in Houston in 2017, started working in publishing. I did that for a while with Modern Luxury and kind of lifestyle brands here. And then I worked at a law firm for the last 5 years doing like PR, business development, marketing. And then I had my first baby, Scarlett. She is almost 20 months.
Cutest little nugget.
We're in the terrible twos early, so we're tired.
She's advanced.
Yeah, but we're tired. So when I had Scarlett, I left my law firm job to take some time off to kind of raise her. And then I saw this job posted on LinkedIn. I had met Tina and Tama about 6-7 years ago when I was with Modern Luxury here. They had done an event at the Astorian, like a dog fashion show or something with Tootsies, and they're like dogs walk the runway or something at the, and it was just so, it was precious. And then we had a 3-hour lunch one day at, I think, Lake Colonial, and I just fell in love with them and what they were doing. And I never forgot Houston PetSet and what they were doing the whole time I was at the law firm. And then when this job came up, I just reached out to them both and I just said, hey, what are you looking for? Maybe I'm a good fit for what you've got, what you're looking for. And we connected and we had a bunch of lunches and a bunch of coffees, met with everybody, and, here I am. Yeah. So it just kind of fell into my lap and it just kind of felt like meant to be, just kind of organically, this is where I'm supposed to be. But like I told them, I've always been an animal person. My dream growing up was to have, I always told my mom, 300. So I grew up in the country. Yeah. I grew up in West Texas. I'm from Midland, Odessa area. Real country girl.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw. My dream was to have 300 head of weenie dogs.
That's such a cattle reference.
Yeah,
I
to
love that.
rescue 300 head of weenie dogs.
Okay.
And have my own weenie dog ranch.
Yep.
And I was going to always call it the Long Dog Ranch.
I'm obsessed.
And I still want to do that, actually.
So there's still time.
Yeah, so Tina and I actually talked about this because Tina wants to do that also, like a rescue ranch. So I think we're going to figure out one day how to do the Long Dog Ranch.
I love that.
There's still time.
There's so much time for that.
Yeah, we're going to do it.
And we all know and love that the little weenie dogs.
Yes.
So you are now part of this development world, which is it's challenging. And I say it's challenging because we live in Houston, which, Tina and Tama always say is one of the most philanthropic cities. And it truly is. Yeah. People here Do they make a lot of money? Absolutely. But do they give a lot of money? Yes, without a doubt. But not just in Houston, kind of across the board, animal welfare has traditionally been kind of at the bottom of the list of charities that people like to give to. And it's not because people don't love animals. I think it's just never really, almost feels like it's had an image problem, a marketing problem. But, you know, Houston PetSet, we say part of our mission is to elevate the status of companion animals in society. And that's not just because we want people to love animals. It's because we want people to value and respect them and put their money behind animal welfare because it translates into community welfare. So it is a blossoming industry, I will say, in terms of philanthropy. What have you found when you're talking to people who want to support this mission? How are they finding animal welfare? How do they get into contributing to this? And I'm sure we have a lot of our partners listening to this saying, who can I hit up and how do I find these people?
So I have been very fortunate to have a really amazing network through, you know, the legal community that I've been a part of for the last 5 years. My husband's an attorney too, which is kind of opened up, you know, the Houston PetSet network a little bit, I think, to this different sort of business group. So that's been a new kind of stream for us, I think. So that's been great. But what I've been hearing a lot for the animal kind of stream is, well, you know, I'm not an animal person. You know, I donate more to children's charities or I donate more to homeless. And I think what we have to do is it's about reframing this narrative a little bit moving forward. It's, you know, the homeless animal crisis in Houston, it truly is like a health and public safety issue. And it really bleeds over into so many areas that affect so many things in Houston. This affects our children's safety on the streets. This affects our elderly, you know, the safety of our elderly walking to the bus stops. This affects our commerce, our economic development of Houston. I mean, there's a reason, you know, we were on the short list for Amazon HQ2, right? And we were axed for that, right? And one of the reasons was because they were concerned. I mean, there were other reasons, but they were concerned about homeless animals and stray animals and the safety aspect of that. So imagine the number of jobs that could have been created from HQ2 being in Houston and what the economic development that could have brought to the city. Right. So I don't think people understand fully the impact that the animal welfare crisis has on Houston as a whole. So I think if we're thinking about the next 20 years, because, you know, this is our 20th anniversary, and we've done a fantastic job in the last 20 years of making progress, but we're looking for the next 20. It's reframing this to say, listen, guys, this is bigger. This is bigger than people realize, and this is affecting all of us. And if you don't even see it, like, it's putting that out there for people to realize this is affecting children, everything. You know, it's so traditionally animal welfare, has been so traditionally framed as kind of a bleeding heart charity, and we focus so much on the individual animals. I mean, we have fundraisers for these animals that are rescued off the streets, and we know that inspires a very specific subset of animal lovers. But there are people out there who, like you said, aren't animal lovers, but they love their community and they love their business and they love their families. And when we can reframe this as a community public health, public safety issue, I think you can sit down and have a really important conversation with somebody who will be much more willing to support this if they understand the wide-ranging impact. Exactly.
So if there are people out there who, like I said, are kind of in the middle, they love animals, they want to support animal welfare, maybe they don't want to sit down and write, you know, $100,000 check, but they still want to make a financial impact. What are some things, and I'm asking a leading question because I know the answer to this, but, you know, Houston PetSet, we have a couple of two specific programs that can get people involved in that kind of way where they can have that impact, but it's not, you know, it's not the traditional supporting volunteering or just writing a check and writing it off. So we'll talk first, I guess, about our Young Executives program, which you have introduced, which is really, really exciting, and also about our women's group, because both of them are playing a huge role in our 20th anniversary year this year.
So we'll happily take your $100,000
Of
check
course.
if you want to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think as we're talking about the progress for the next 20 years, it's activating that next generation of donors and people who are really going to be advocates for Houston PetSet in the community and with their organizations who have social responsibility programs within their organizations to help out in the community. So our Young Executive program is really developed for people who are going to step up and kind of represent Houston PetSet. They are, having their own fundraising goal for our soiree this year. Am I allowed to?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know what I'm
Yes,
allowed to
our
talk about.
timing on this. You can. Yes.
So this year we have a fantastic performer. If you're Texan, if you're not Texan, you probably even know.
Yeah.
Pat Green is performing this year, which is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be a big party.
Yes.
So the Young Executive Board is actually fundraising to pay for that, to pay for Pat Green, because they wanted it to be just a party for everybody.
Yeah.
So that is going to be their first big initiative to cover entertainment this year for soiree. So every year they're also going to come up with their own grant. So they're going to raise a grant to figure out who they want to donate, for a grant for a rescue at the end of the year, a part of our, Thanksgiving event. So they have their first large board meeting tomorrow to kind of, put their bylaws in place and figure out, how they want to push this forward. But I think it's going to be a great opportunity to get people out there in the community, like I said, who are the next generation of business leaders, because it's people from all different areas of the community, right? There's lawyers, finance people, doctors, high-end, real estate agents. It's kind of a mishmash of everybody from all over the community. And these are all animal lovers, community lovers, people who are want to make an impact and grow something. They want to grow this and see that they, are excited about being the first to grow this group and want to see okay, we want to start something. Yeah. So it's going to be amazing.
And this is not just, let's get together once a month and have a couple drinks. No, this is putting some work into it and committing time and dedicating financial resources, of course. If I am, one of our partners listening to this and I want to start a young executives or even a young professionals club, what are some things to keep in mind when I'm putting, how do I get people interested? Who do I reach out to first?
Yeah, I think you just really need to look at your network, and always start with your friends. I know they say sometimes don't mix business and pleasure, but I think with this, people who and can trust, who have passion for the animals and for the community, that's where I started. People who were interested in what we were doing here. So look to the people who were already involved, who want to do this, like I said, for their businesses, for their personal development, their business development, because you never know, what connections they're going to make through these organizations. And just people who genuinely care, people who believe in the mission and who want to make a lasting, impact.
Absolutely. And I think there's always, especially with groups who are volunteer based or who, have a tiny staff, there's that initial fear of it's just one more thing for me to manage. But truly the way that you are setting these up and the way that they should run is they should be an independent entity, correct? So you're basically just giving them the tools. You're serving as a liaison, but they're making the decisions. They're planning things. They're doing the fundraising themselves.
Absolutely. I'm deputizing them to say, listen, this is the mission. This is what we believe. And now you go out.
You do it.
And you do it.
Yeah.
I don't have time to manage all these people too on top of what we're doing, and that's why I fully trust and believe in all of these people that are starting this. And that's why I think it's important to start with people that you trust.
Yeah, that you can kind of let them run free.
Right. And they're doing it for the right reason. One of my girlfriends, she says, you have to have people who you trust and who, she has a saying, who do it for the cause, not for the applause.
Ooh, I like that. I want to write that down in my notebook.
Doesn't that kind of...
It's catchy, but it hits.
It does.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot these days is a lot for show, right? It's a lot for online, for social, the online. For clout. And, we want people who are doing this for the right reasons.
For the cause.
Right.
I love that.
Do it for the cause, not for the applause.
Not the applause. Although I do like applause, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I am a little bit of an attention getter. So the other program that has kind of been in the works, but really has kicked off this year, and we're really excited about it, is our women's committee.
Right.
And this is a similar concept of a group of animal lovers who want to get involved in the way that suits them where they're at, but slightly different. In that, number one, it's women.
Yeah.
And number two, they're sort of we've deputized them almost as like a committee to do stuff for our soiree. So talk a little bit about the women's committee.
Yeah. So this is just a fantastic group of ladies who
they're
have,
so lovely.
Yeah. So for the last, 20 years, there's been a, small group of women who have helped with soiree, with, the silent auction and things here and there, and it's been fantastic. But we're really trying to, like I said, I mean, I'm a broken record here, but like the next 20 years, right? How do we put programs in place so that this grows, right? So it becomes kind of its living, breathing entity on its own, right? The women's committee, the young executive program, how do they grow and become self-sustaining? I think that's what we're trying to do with the women's group as well. How do we put these women in place who are really invested and who really are doing it for the cause and really want to grow something? So I think our women's committee went from 15 last year.
I don't even think there were that many.
And now we had our first event last week for the Winter Women's Committee. It was our Galentine's event.
Yes.
And it was so much fun. And I think we had like 30 women show up.
Yeah.
I mean, so we doubled.
A quick double. I love that.
Yeah, in 1 year. And this was just, it ranged from women who were beginning their careers, I think, 24, 25-year-old women, up to women who were, late 50s. So you got to see this broad, range of women who were really there because we all just loved animals and we wanted to be a part of something. So it was fantastic.
Yes. And these types of groups are really helpful, especially for volunteer-run organizations or organizations like ours, which have 6 of us,
right?
Plus, obviously, our amazing figureheads, Tina and Tama.
Right.
This is a way that if you don't have salary to pay somebody who plans an event, if you have a committee like this, they get to take it and run with it.
Right.
And you can, a lot of us are not great at delegating, admittedly, but this is an opportunity to delegate something that's incredibly important. For us, our auction items, that's one of the biggest ways that we're able to fundraise for our grant program.
Right.
And anyone who has ever put on any kind of event, a soiree, a gala, whatever, knows that finding auction items is like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
It is incredibly difficult. And so having a group of inspired people where that's all they have to worry about really at this time, they get to focus on that, frees everybody else up. But I love what you said about the fact that it was such a wide range of people, because I think sometimes we have in our heads very specific person when we picture either a donor or a volunteer for animal welfare, and we know we're only going after one audience, or we're spending our time trying to go after that $1 million donor, or this is a really fun way to widen that net, so to speak, and bring people in where they feel empowered and they're part of it.
Right.
Because when you're part of something, you're way more inspired to fundraise for it, to get involved, to volunteer, to show up, to buy a ticket, buy a table, or get other people to do it.
Absolutely. And I just saw at the Galentine's event, I saw these women coming together, and I saw friendships even forming. Yeah. And when you can be a part of a group that you start making friends, and you start saying, oh, well, let's buy a table together, let's sit together, and you start building something together, you start becoming more invested. Yeah, and then that turns into fundraising. That starts bringing in more friends. And then who knows how this thing snowballs, right? And who knows in 5 years what this women's committee looks like, what the auction then looks like from what this women's committee has grown it into.
Right.
And I know that these women are going to make this fantastic. I can't wait to see what soiree this year is going to be.
So exciting.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really big event. And so because, we have the opportunity to talk about it a little bit now that we are past our big announcement stage, but we can't obviously leave without talking about soiree and how people can get involved. So this year is a little bit, I think it's this is our 20th soiree. It's our big birthday celebration, which is why we are doing this big concert.
Right.
And like you said, if you don't know who Pat Green is, you haven't spent enough time in Texas, obviously.
Yeah.
But, it's not just a concert. It's also still a soiree, a fundraising event. So people who would like to come, what are the different things we're offering? What are the tickets, the tables? Yeah. If I want to spend September 6th with a few hundred of my closest friends in Pat Green. How do I do that?
Yeah, so obviously you can go on our website. We have all the different ticket options on there. You can get individual tickets. You can get by table options. So we're going to have VIP meet and greets beforehand with Pat Green. So that's going to become, there's a premium on that. You're obviously going to come with a price premium on your ticket, but who doesn't want a VIP meet and greet picture?
You get a photo, you get to meet him.
Obviously, you could put that on your social media, with Pat Green. So he's doing VIP meet and greets. Your ticket obviously comes with dinner, the actual hour-long concert with Pat Green,
which is amazing.
Which is going to be amazing. And then he's actually doing for our VVIPs. So if you want to spend some big money, which you'll see online, he's going to do a VVIP after party, like a private acoustic set for a VVIP.
And we're very much limiting the number of people who can attend that. So you don't want to wait for those to sell out.
Right.
Because that's the only way you can get it.
So that's going to, but remember, the cost of the ticket is going to come to us for our wonderful programs. So just keep that in mind. Your money.
It's for Houston PetSet to grant to our partners and for us to operate. So this is, at its very core, is still a fundraising event for the animals.
Absolutely.
I think I don't think people realize an hour-long concert.
Yeah.
Like, that's essentially private. This is our concert. People can't just walk in. They can't just show up. This is like I said, just a couple of our closest friends.
Yes.
This is a really big deal, and we're really excited about it. And I think memories will be made. I also would love if you could tell people what Pat Green will be auctioning off in our live auction, because this is crazy.
So, live auction is going to be wild this year.
Yeah.
So, we're going with, obviously y'all can see a theme here.
A little bit of a theme.
We're going, birthday is obviously the theme because it's 20th birthday, but there's obviously a little Texas influence here this year with Pat Green. So we figured we might as well country it up a little bit and go with cowboy auctioneers, which is going to be a good time.
Like, imagine you're at a cattle auction. I've never been to one, but I can picture what it's like in my head.
Yeah, but really fun, cowboy auctioneers, okay? And Pat Green has also agreed to auction off and donated a private, either at your home or at a venue, wherever you want to host it, for up to 100 people.
That's crazy.
A private concert. So if you want to bid,
that's bonkers.
Yeah, on the private concert for Pat Green in your home or wherever you want to host it.
Yeah.
Buy a table, come to soiree, come and bid on it.
Our silent auction items, you can bid. You don't even have to be present, but you can only win live auction items if you are present in the room, or you have a proxy.
Or you want to call me and I'll be on the phone and you want to give me your credit card. Sure, I'll bid for you. But that's going to be awesome. And I think he's also said he's going to do a guitar, a signed guitar. So, that's pretty fantastic.
I'm excited because I think this opens up our audience just a little bit. And this is something that I would say to our partners. Think outside the box sometimes with your fundraisers, because we may have people who want to come to this event who don't know a darn thing about Houston PetSet, who may not even like animals that much, but they love Pat Green.
Exactly.
And they will come and they will learn, because we have our program. We're honoring 20 people for our 20th birthday this year, who have made an incredible impact in the animal welfare field here in Houston. So we've just opened up our audience to people who may not have known they want to get involved, and this is the opportunity for them to fall in love with the mission.
Absolutely. I think that's what, this is going to be a huge draw for people. And I think, like you said, getting them in the room, he's a huge draw to get them in the room. And then once they see what's happening and what Houston PetSet is doing, of course, they're going to want to support and fall in love with, what we've got going on and want to be a part of our program. So,
and with our partners who are the heroes and who are out there doing the work, which our grant program, and I don't know if it's always made clear, our soiree is a blast every year. It's huge. It's fun. It's the event, but it enables us to fund our grant program, which is what Houston PetSet started as, was just before we had programs, before we had services, we were a granting organization, and we still are. And this last year, 2023, was our biggest yet. We had 89 grant recipients. We had more than that apply. Obviously, people don't get paperwork in on time, whatever, but we had 89 grant recipients, and was it $425,000?
Yeah, it was over $400,000, largest ever.
Largest
granted,
ever. So, this year, our hope is to add on a couple $100,000 to that, because every year the need grows. Every year more people apply for grants.
Right.
And we are thrilled that we're able to provide the support that we can provide, but sometimes it feels like a drop in the bucket.
Yep.
So we hope that this will be our biggest soiree yet.
I think it will be. I think soiree is going to just, that's why we're putting so much into soiree. We're making this our biggest yet, like you said, because we want then to turn around for Thanksgiving event and just blow that out of the water.
Exactly. And be able to support the people who do so much for our community.
Exactly.
Well, Kelli, it has, as always, been a delight chatting with you. I think it's exciting that we are starting all of these new initiatives, and we are, full steam ahead fundraising for 2024, but also, like you said, for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
There's just no reason to be short-sighted in animal welfare, because if we get too stuck in the weeds, then we sometimes can miss the bigger picture, and that includes fundraising.
Right.
So we're happy to have you here at Houston PetSet.
Thanks.
And thank you for joining me today here on Conversations for the Animals. As always, it has been a pleasure spending time with everybody, and we will see you next time.